Hello, Stephanie. How you doing? Welcome to Miguel's Mindfulness. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. Would you like to give the people just a quick, short introduction of who you are and what you do before we jump into everything?
Sure, let's do that. So I'm Stephanie, as you may know. My name is pronounced Coste. I know it's a difficult one, but just imagine La Coste. So I am a massage therapist, online fitness coach, and a visionary, let's say. So I basically like to inspire people to break out of the limiting mindset that they have and explore different realities because why not?
Absolutely. Before I jump into any deep, deep questions, what is it like being a massage therapist? Disclaimer: I've never gotten a massage. No, another disclaimer. The dress code was not planned. It just happened like this. For anyone that's watching visually, not for the audio listeners, for anyone that's listening or watching, it was not planned. This just spontaneously happened. It must be something with brown skinned people. I don't know. But yeah. So
Blue's been on top of the wave
yeah,
this week.
blue is amazing. But how is massage therapy and like how long have you been doing that and what's that like?
Massage therapy. Oh, I've been doing it for probably around 5 years now, and but really building a brand or a business around it for about three. And I love it personally. I've always been the massage therapist of the group, of the family, of my friends. So it just feels good to ease away pain from other people. Not sure why I like that. Sometimes it helps me feel less pain. So I feel like it's a win-win. So it's it can be tough if you don't know what you're doing, but it can be absolutely fruitful if you know how to keep yourself during the growth period because you can burn out and you can
How
lose
did, how did
yourself.
you get how'd you get into something like that?
Well, honestly, it started when I was very young, and my family would always be like, "Oh, can you rub my foot?" Because I'm Dominican, right? And so in my family, we have a lot of pain sometimes. You can say like physical pain because this could go into like nutrition.
Pain, period.
Yeah, so I guess I grew up with my father always asking me to give him like a foot massage, or my cousins like, "Hey, my back hurts," or something like that. So I always just liked to do it. And then it wasn't until I was 16, I had a random epiphany, like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. And uh I had a green composition notebook and I wrote down everything one morning and it just became my vision. So at 16, I decided that that's what I'm going for. And as I was thinking, like, what am I going to do with my life? And I realized that that's one of the skills that I was just gifted. I like to say it as, or I really honed it in when I went to massage therapy school. So, but initially, I wanted to be in the medical field, to be honest. Just kind of weird thinking about it now. So I
So
went
feel
to school
like
for
a nurse?
not a nurse. Everyone always told me to be a doctor since I always loved to see like gruesome things. I didn't like to see it, but I could tolerate it. Like I could see blood, I could see people's bodies like wide open. I was a bit of very much into horror movies as a child and still am. But that kind of led me to be like, I can do this. And then people around me were like, you can do this. So I went to school for physical therapist assistant just so I can have like a little bit more of a medical terminology for massage therapy. But I was like, yeah, this is not it, especially with how it happened, the schooling, I just did not feel it. So I ended up just doing massage therapy alone and learning my own along the way.
How long is that process of getting into massage therapy? Like how long is the schooling?
There are different schools. Typically, you have some schools that last for 6 months, others that are like a year. Um, it really depends on the school and what how they offer their program. Some can be even be 2 years, but typically, let's say for a state like Pennsylvania, you need to have 600 hours of learning, or a place like Puerto Rico where you need 1,000 hours of learning and like clinicals. So it really depends on where you're at and what the massage board requires of you.
You said Puerto Rico? You grew up in Puerto Rico?
No, I was born in Puerto Rico.
Born in Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
Okay, and when did you come here?
I
To
came
oh
here when
here
I
as
was,
in where you are now.
yeah, Miami. Hmm. Actually, yeah, I did come to Miami first. I started off at 4 years old living in Miami, 3 to 4, something along those lines. So I didn't grow up in Puerto Rico at
That's
all.
early. That's early.
Hmm.
Miami is a very interesting place. Very interesting. It's definitely one of those party states slash cities. Just Miami in general. Um, how do you stay consistent in things that you're doing in Miami? So, as being like a fitness coach and helping people stay on track and break through certain limiting beliefs, how do you stay consistent in a hectic area like Miami? I would almost name it impossible. So, how do you do it?
Well, honestly, something I've been learning is to work out in the morning. Work out in the morning, or if you have something else you're doing in the morning, let's say you work in the morning, work out right after. But just make sure that you work out before you go home, before you go out with friends, because then you don't know what's going to happen. Things just pop up here and there. So, really, how I stay consistent is I make my non-negotiables a priority. And my non-negotiables are working out, taking care of my body and health, and working on my businesses.
When you say taking care of health, what is a can we get like a regular nutrition plan that you go through that like you eat for yourself to make yourself feel good and stay in good shape?
You said, what are my kind of non-negotiables to make sure that I.
Like whenever you said health and like nutrition. So like what do you usually eat day to day? What does your usual diet look like?
So really, I do prefer a lot of whole foods. So I try my best, or I do my best to make sure if I'm eating at home, I'm prepping. So that's either chicken. If I want pasta, I would use like a high protein pasta, like chickpea pasta, or another one. I don't really like to eat too many carbs like that. So if I'm eating carbs, it's preferably root vegetables like yuca, taro, and Puerto Rican root vegetables and stuff like that. So I would say on my average day to day, I would wake up, I have some yogurt, maybe some strawberries. I would probably have prepped the night before some lean beef with, let's say, some of the pasta. That's been my theme, or chicken with it. And but honestly, lately, since I've been on a whirlwind, I've been eating out. So eating out though, I still make sure that I eat in a way where it's intentional. So I'm not just grabbing whatever. I'm making sure I look up the places, how much protein is in that meal. If they don't know, then I'll guess by saying, okay, how much ounces of chicken are you using? Kind of estimate and
You ask the
eat
like
that way.
waitresses or waiters that
Yeah.
for the ounces and chicken and stuff?
What else? Sometimes they say it. Like there's this one place, oh my God, it's the bomb, Pinkies in Puerto Rico. 10 ounces of chicken in a sandwich, delicious for only like $10. Guys, anyone listening that's in Puerto Rico, I recommend you go to Pinkies. Anyways, this isn't a sponsorship. But yeah, I usually be like, what's the meal on this menu that has the most protein? And I actually did that yesterday. I went to a coffee shop and I said, which one of these? And she told me the steak and eggs. So I'm like, all right, cool. I ended up getting a veggie omelet because they didn't want that at the moment. So I assumed 3 eggs, 18 grams of protein, cheese, about 26. And then I had a protein coffee, which like added another 20 to 30 grams. So that's like 56 grams of protein per meal. That's kind of how I work my way around eating out.
What do you think of this kind of controversial take that people have of not being able to eat out and keep hitting your goals? Let's say, for instance, protein goals, calorie goals, or even just staying in good shape. I mean, you yourself, obviously, you're still in good shape. You say you still go out and eat. So how do you do that? Like, is there any type of tips or tricks you can give people?
For sure. So I would say take a note of where you're eating right now and realize that you could probably do better. So let's say you're eating out, but you're picking the average places that everyone picks, whether that's Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, or even what's that, Chipotle.
So good. So
It is
good.
good. I won't lie. It's pretty good. Yeah, I honestly probably only had it like 5 times in my life, but I still remember how it tastes. So that's something is crazy up in there.
Yeah,
They're good
it's a
because
high protein bowl. It's off the chain. They put so much, chicken, and I didn't know I like beans until I tried that. I was like, "Beans are cool." And then I had that, I was like, "Wow, beans are actually really cool." That's dope.
yeah,
So kinda plan
yeah.
ahead.
I would say, or even if you're in a jiffy, just look up. Honestly, my go-tos are coffee shops. Like if I'm eating out, I mean, they're fast. They're usually not that expensive, and they also provide cleaner meals. So let's say you want like a quick grab and go, usually an egg bagel sandwich, something like that. I think it's yeah, like an egg
Sounds
bagel sandwich.
interesting. Egg bagel sandwich.
It's like
Love that.
it's called something else when you go. It's like a I order it so much I should know the name by now.
Egg bagel sandwich, that sounds amazing. I've never had that
Typ-
before.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
typically, uh-huh. They're made like on an all American, sorry, on a everything bagel. Usually they have like 3 eggs, some bacon, or turkey bacon if you don't eat pork. So,
Okay, that's
but yeah.
dope. If you're ready, we're gonna segue into the first question, and we're gonna really start us off.
Okay.
Ready? Let's do it. So let's start off with the idea of evolving to do more. What does it mean to you personally, and how can someone listening today begin to spot and shake off complacency in their own life?
So for your first question, evolving to do more. I feel like for me, evolving is all about making the human species more in alignment with joy. With that being said, evolving to do more is realizing that we have this, sure, we have this instilled in us that we don't really want pain, but we also have this creativity instilled in us. And that could probably vary from person to person. But I feel like we all have this imagination, which is why even if you're at home, you probably have like a bunch of decorations around you to kind of keep your mind active. Like you ever go into a grandma's house and she just has so many different crystalline objects, like a
It's
you know,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
mirror full of just different things or paintings on the walls, just random objects. I feel like our brains are always looking for something else to do or experience. And I think that we can, as humans, tap into that to see how we can minimize or create better experiences for us as a humans. Like instead of, I guess you could say, like instead of complaining about pain, you can be like, okay, how can we create something so that we don't have more of that pain?
Right. I get you. So kind of like how people usually, like you're saying, they usually avoid pain in pursuit of pleasure. So find something more pleasurable to get to their goal. Is that correct? Is that a right summary?
I want to say yes, but that can also mean things like follow your passion and despite anything, which I feel like can lead some people into rabbit holes where they have more pain instead of pleasure. In a way,
Following your
like,
passion. I'm sorry,
mm,
keep going.
yeah, I mean, let's say you're trying to create something, but you don't create it in a space where you're actually able to see it through. Like, let's say you plant a fruit tree in Alaska, it's probably not going to grow. So let's say you start planting a creative pursuit in a base where you're focusing so much on your survival. That creative pursuit is not going to jump because you're too focused on, okay, how can I get even food in my stomach or a roof over my head, you know?
Yeah. And you were saying follow your passion. What would you say to the people that have a passion that they're following, but people judge them because of said passion? Do you think they should just take in the constructive criticism? Should they tell them to fuck off? I don't care what you think. I'm going to do what I want. What do you think?
If somebody's trying to follow their passion,
Mhm.
what would I tell
The
them?
pa- yeah, like how would you motivate someone to follow their passion throughout anything? Like no matter the pushbacks, no matter the adversities.
I'd probably say let your passion mm, be a part of your life, right? So in your life, you have your survival. In your life, you have your relationships. In your life, you have also your rest, and you have your passion, let's say. So instead of just focusing on your passion, think about how you can incorporate your passion so you can have a more fulfilled life. Because some people can get so like tunnel vision into creating something or having something that they kind of lose what also can build that passion up. Like you can add more pillars to your passion, and like that you can really be able to enjoy your passion. Like let's say a musician. You have a musician who's so focused on just creating music at all costs. So they start using the people around them, or they start letting go of their house, and they're creating this music, but the rest of their life kind of feels tough. And so they don't allow themselves to really grow because the roots that they're building is not strong. It's just standing on one, which is just the passion alone. So I feel like if you're able to think about one, why you're having that passion, like really be like, okay, why do I really like this? And maybe think about it a little bit more. Just because I don't think we know where our passion comes from sometimes. We
I think
just
it's
have
kind
like
of just
sometimes this inner
instilled in us.
whisper.
Like your passion is your passion. You don't really get to pick it.
I feel like that's a tough one because maybe some people can be multi-passionate, like they can have a lot of different passions, or maybe your environment kind of makes you really like this certain thing, or some people don't even know what their passion is because they haven't been shown to it. So I don't know if it's being instilled, but maybe some people do have that inner expression that can be compatible with their passion if they find out what it is. Like let's say somebody's very outspoken and open at a young age. Maybe their passion is going to end up being something in the music industry, something in the creative industry, and acting industry. While somebody who's a little bit more reserved is probably going to end up being an engineer.
Yeah. Yeah, finding a passion is it's a tricky one because like with social media and all that, like you have your own they have all these things that are pushed upon you that you have to like or there's a trend. If you don't follow the trend, then you're kind of weird. So passion's a tough one because you kind of gotta test a lot of things out. You gotta test a lot of things out. You gotta suck at some things, and then some things you're gonna be good at, and then the thing you're good at, you might be your passion. But if you stop there, like you never know. So you kind of gotta keep optimizing in a way. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, honestly, let's say you have a little whisper and you keep going back to maybe how would it be like if I pursue that? And instead of like going backing off and just the first like photo of failure or discomfort in it, even though you're not where you want to be at, I'd say keep going. I'd say you keep having that whisper for a reason. Just because there's a little bit of discomfort in it doesn't mean that it's not for you or it's not going to work out. Just keep going a little more, and you haven't figured out if you liked it or not yet. Just like if you're dating, maybe you have a little bit of a something that you don't really relate to in the person you're talking to, but you can still continue to get to know them a little bit more, and that can probably show you why they have that thing that you don't like, or maybe even make you like that thing that you didn't like in the beginning, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you might you might grow into it in a way. Like, an acquired taste of food. I can't think of a food I used to hate.
Mm,
It's a lot of food I used to hate, and then growing
yeah,
older, you're just like, "I love this. Like, why has this been away from me my whole life? How did I not like this?"
like mustard.
Mustard?
Not too much, but I like it now.
Mustard is a controversial condiment. Either people hate it or they overdo it.
Mm.
There's usually no in between of mustard. Like mustard on like hot dogs or like anything in general. It's its own. That is literally an acquired taste for 100%. Acquired taste for sure. Me and you was talking off camera about because you're saying passion. We was talking about MMA and things of that nature. How passionate would you say you are for MMA, and how did you fall into that?
My passion levels for MMA honestly would be a high 9 to 10. I'd say 10. I only wanted to say 9 due to my little break that I had as I've been studying and really getting more knowledge in the personal training field and massage therapy field. But I would say it's 10 because I feel like it's a great way to get a good workout in. Two, if a zombie apocalypse ever comes, you'd be able to know how to defend yourself if there's nothing else, even if you don't have guns around you. But I also feel like it does help you use your guns a little bit better. Also,
Yeah,
so it's a win-win there.
for sure.
And I feel like it can be very empowering.
With MMA, you said coaching. Have you ever coached people that did MMA?
So what I did was I mostly taught alongside or assisted the coaches were when they were training. So I was like an assistant instructor. I wasn't a full coach yet, but I would be there teaching the techniques to people, especially the newcomers. And in cases where we had to travel and take our services to some hotels in the Puerto Rico area, I would have to basically take them through a mini boxing or kickboxing type of workout.
What
So I wasn't a full blown coach, no black belt yet.
what are some of what are some of the exercises, I guess say workouts you was putting them through? I'm curious because I'm trying to get into it myself. I'm doing heavy bag training about like 2 to 3 times a week just because it's like you said, it's great cardio. It's great cardio. And then it's
Mhm.
important just to know how to fight or throw a punch in general because you never know what's gonna happen. It's like what are
Right.
some of the exercises, workouts that you put them through?
So let's say you're a little bit more beginner. I would probably put you through a lot of conditioning so that you can have more endurance while you're learning and while you're training. So I feel like endurance is a very important factor in learning MMA. Because let's say you can't even go through 30 minutes of learning, of training, how are you gonna get better if you're like sitting
Growing up.
in the sidelines on the benches?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'd probably really make them push themselves, starting by running, probably just warm up like that. Obviously, first warm up with some stretching. Usually they stretch beforehand because once they step on the mat, that's where we're going full force. But even on the mat, we make sure that their heart rates are up through running. And uh, what we used to do is this sit up thing where we'd have people sitting up, but we'd be punching them in the stomach while they're sitting up, just because we need to make sure that you can still move past pain. It wouldn't be like out of control heavy punches, but they'd be decent enough to make you
I get it.
gag a little bit.
Yeah. So you said at the
Right.
beginning of it, it's stretching. I have been in this like weird phase of like not kind of circling between like static stretching and dynamic stretching. What kind of stretching did y'all do? Did y'all do like arm swings and things of that nature? Or was it a mix?
We would do mostly dynamic stretching in the beginning.
Mm.
So that would look like the leg swings. We would make sure we're doing like, I guess that's not a stretching, but like jumping jacks. And we would do, like, say, hip flexor stretching, where you're kind of coming in and out, things like that, because especially since we did a lot of Muay Thai and kickboxing, that's what we mostly specialized in. We wanted to make sure your hips were not going to be tearing up during training. Like
Right.
that's actually happened several times before due to not actually warming up. But I would say a lot more dynamic stretching in the beginning to really get yourself prepped for the fast movements that we're going to be implementing.
Did you coach more of Male or female clients?
In the MMA gym, more male clients. There were a few females or women, girls even, that would come in and be like, let's do this. And that would be always fun to be tapping into that inner woman's strength, inner female strength. But mostly it was males who needed to feel that strength within themselves. And some heavy fighters. There's a 16-year-old, oh man, if we get him in the ring, he's gonna tear anybody up.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
What is there a difference between coaching the two? Between the men and the women?
I would say there can be, but at the same time, it would depend on the person themselves. So let's say the person is like a complete beginner and they just need to be shown that they can do it, but they can't be like belittled, right? They can't be told that they're not doing enough. They need to be like, bro, you got this, you can do it. Come on, let's go, push. Besides just getting told, stop being you know, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't curse too much, but that word really wanted to come out. So I'd say, and then for women as well, like me personally, I needed them to be like, stop being that way, let's go. So, but there are women that would need to be spoken to in that way where you're empowering them. Like some people need to be empowered more rather than put down. Some people need to be told, hey, look at him. He's doing way better than you. Are you really going to let that slide? Some people need that type of uh, male or female, they need that type of encouragement to really hone in on their competitive nature, while other people just need to be told that they can do it.
Was there a
I think
difference
that's
between
it.
coaching was there a difference between coaching, like, MMA people and more of, let's say, non-athletes? I don't call them normal people, but
Mhm.
non-athletes?
I'd say there's a difference. Yeah. And MMA athletes, I feel like you're getting into that arena, into that space to be pushed to your limit. I mean, some people probably don't know. They think they're just going to learn a few punches and techniques and be badass. So when they get in there and they're like, holy damn, that was hard, especially through the conditioning classes. Um, but I feel like they come to really push themselves to a different limit than what I would call non-athletes, or people that just want to be healthier, just want to be a little bit more fit, or want to lose weight, type of aesthetic goals and just health goals. So I feel like there's that difference, how hard you're really going to push yourself through something, such as a bodybuilder versus a person not bodybuilding, just looking to get healthier.
Can you talk our listeners through a simple MMA inspired drill that they can safely try in their living room?
For sure. Okay, for beginners, I would probably say, or honestly, even for anybody, for
I need to write
anybody.
it down.
If you need to
Yeah,
write it
yeah.
down, yeah, for sure.
I'm just have to listen it back.
Because for beginners, I would probably say start with um, getting your stance right, first and foremost. So basically, stand up straight. You have your feet along one plane, one line. You step forward with your left foot and step forward and a little bit to the left. Basically, you want to make sure that your body is positioned in a way that's kind of directly to your enemy. One note that my coach used to say is have your belly button always facing your enemy. You don't want their body to be on the side of you because then they have more power. Like imagine it's only one side of my body against two sides of your body. So you want to have make sure your elbows, or sorry, your shoulders are right in front of them, kind of like squared together, you know? So that's one thing. That's first and foremost. And then you want to make sure that you're not on your heels. You want to make sure you have a strong base, but you don't want to be on your heels when you're fighting or training because you want to be able to pivot on your feet and move a little bit like water, like Bruce Lee says. I've been having fun with that one. But those two things I would say are the primary components to beginning an MMA drill. And then to get into the juicier parts,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So to get into the juicier parts, I'd probably say turn on your alarm or turn on your clock and set it for 3 minutes of 5 rounds. And even if you don't have a boxing bag, you could just start uh, Googling, let's say 5 different combos, whether that's a jab, hook, cross, uppercut. You can have different combinations of those punches, or if you want to practice your kicks, you can do that too. Uh, get 5 combinations, set up your clock, and then just start bouncing around in your room. And make sure you're really noticing how your body feels while you're throwing your punches. If something feels off, uh, you can even have a YouTube video in front of you to see how you're throwing that jab. But what I would prefer is to just record yourself,
Yes.
and
So good.
compare it.
Yeah, so good. I was, like, super scared of the camera whenever I first started, like, lifting or doing anything, but, like, that's where all the feedback is. You can see everything you're doing wrong. You can see whenever, let's say, for instance, talking about MMA or any fighting in general, you can see if, like, you're telling with your shoulders, or you can see if you're not. Like, James was telling me on my own fighting stance, I'm not on my heels, on my back heel as much whenever I'm throwing, like, a right hook on the bag. I would be Oh, sorry, not on my heels, on, like, the ball of my foot. I wouldn't be on, like, the ball of my foot. I wouldn't rotate off of it. I would more of, like, be on the heels and kinda push and then be a little bit off balance. So, and I would never known that if I wouldn't have recorded myself, watched it back, got over the anxiety of wanting to look dumb, and then, seeing the feedback from it.
Oh yeah, that's good because when you allow yourself to look dumb, especially while learning MMA, you allow yourself to get a lot more learning done. Because then you can accept the feedback that's given without being like pushed back against it. Like there have been people who come to the gym and instead of taking the feedback that we've given them, they would instead get mad and think that there's something wrong with us. So they would just either want to prove their strength and then kind of get beat up and then not come back. So there are some people that don't take feedback very well. So the fact that you can do it can show a lot more of your actual curiosity to learn, you know.
Do you have people that come in and, like, they're, like, big chested and, like, "I can fight anybody, give me the strongest, give me the best fighter." Have you ever had any of those experiences?
Yeah, I kind of used to be one of those. It was a very pretend one of those though. Like I knew I was gonna get beat up, but I still showed up like, nah, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So, but in the more serious note, there have been people that think that they are the best, you can say, and you can feel that. You can, like, let's say if you're sparring with somebody that feels that way and they're not really being respectful of the sparring rules, you can feel that, and then that's when usually the person who knows more probably comes out and shows them that they need to sit back, stay a little bit more humble, and learn. But there have been people that show up and just kind of want to prove their strength for no reason.
Yeah, and then they kinda get humbled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is it mostly, like, men or women? I would assume men.
Man, there have been cases where women, for some reason, also want to show off their skills, and instead of being respectful in the mat, they try to do one illegal hits, two just going hard for no reason. Like we go hard when we sparring, but there's a level to it. You know, it's like on a scale I think of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. You're and we usually say like there's a 7 to the body and there's like a 5 to the head of power of strength. I think those are the numbers. Does
When
that
you
make
say
sense?
what do you Yeah, what do you mean when you say, like, illegal hit?
For an illegal hit, like there's I believe it's one to the back of the head
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
also
huge.
elbows. Elbows while we're sparring is something that we don't allow because you can easily get cut. Like these things are weapons, hard
Those are
weapons.
strong. Yeah, if you know how to use them, those things are definitely strong,
hmm
for
That's
sure.
actually something. Let's say you're an MMA fighter, or at least you've trained a good bit of your life, and you end up knocking somebody out because you wanted to be the strong man on the streets. You can get an extra, like a harder fine for that. You can be accused of using weapons. I don't really think that one's a super real thing, but uh, you can get more like damage done to you if you're using your expertise kind of on a street. Even, I mean, unless you deserved it, then yeah.
Do you find that people are like people that are MMA trained or just trained within fighting try and avoid conflict more? Or do you think they're more conflict interested? Say for you, for yourself, because you know you do training. So,
Mhm.
are you whenever you go out, are you like, I hope somebody does bump me on my shoulder. I'm gonna kick them. Like,
Not at all. Not at all.
no,
I'm probably the most loving spirit that's on that street. I'd be like, really, why'd you do that? Why? Until they get in your face and actually pose a threat, then that's when you'd come out, the warrior.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't think people really look, especially if you're training, like you have a little bit more of a posed demeanor to you rather than somebody who's trying to prove their strength on the street because you know your strength at that point typically. So maybe if you're a beginner and you're like, I fight MMA, I do this and that, and then you're like trying to show everybody on the streets. So I'd
yeah,
say typically no. I'd say MMA fighters probably look more, well, they don't look, but they are more harmonious on the day to day.
gotcha. Yeah, for sure. I noticed that people that don't train think they can beat up everybody. So like they're over aggressive and they try and just puff their chest out there and they want to get in issues or conflicts, but the person that is trained knows how ugly it could get, so like they try to avoid it in general. They're like, no,
Mm.
I could die. I already know about this. I'm good. I'll stay away from it. Maybe another time. You got it. Like if someone bumps into them, they'll say excuse me first, or they'll say sorry first, just to avoid conflict. Like, I don't want to fight. It's not that serious. Just move on. Next to someone that's not trained, you bump into them. They're like, man, what you want to do? What you want to do? Like in Louisiana, maybe in Louisiana with the hoodlums. Let's call it that.
Mm.
The polite way to say it, the hoodlums. If anybody gets bumped into, or if anybody even looks at somebody wrong, it's like instant confrontation, instant what you want to do. Let's take it there instantly. But I have a buddy that trains MMA as well, and he's like super like you talking like super harmonious. Like, no, I'm good. I don't want to fight. Why do I need to fight you? There's no point in that. Like, if I win, then what?
Mm.
Yeah, and if I win too badly, then I don't even win because now I go to jail.
Exactly.
So it's like, did I win? Did I really win? Was it worth it? Should I avoid this in general? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Are you in Miami currently?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have a Miami question. So with
Okay.
Miami being the area that it is, what would you recommend to people that are in like noisy areas like Miami? How would they stay consistent on what they want to do?
So we're talking about fitness or if we're talking about a certain creative pursuit, I would probably say have your vision clear. It's actually a message that I've been speaking about all week is have your vision clear. If you know why you're doing what you're doing, it's easier to say no to things that are not going to really lead you there. But it can be also easy to be like, maybe going out will give me a little bit more creativity, or maybe drinking a little drink will let me calm my nerves, or maybe, and then you kind of fall into that spiral. So you definitely, I feel like, have to have a little bit of experience with where things can go and knowing how discipline can take you somewhere else. Because I feel like if you're kind of new to Miami and you allow yourself those little things, but you don't really understand where that can take you, and you don't have a strong enough foundation in where you want to go or a strong enough vision on where you want to go, I feel like you can easily get taken down a different lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like all the noise, all the distractions, all the clubs, all the drinking, all the money, all the people peacocking like, "Oh, come do this," or whatever. Yeah, super
All the
distracting.
different
I was
opportunities. Yeah.
what you say?
Yeah, all the different opportunities. Like there's so many different things, and then you can easily get your vision can try to get outshined by a shiny object.
How do you keep your vision in mind?
I would probably say think about it every day. Think about it every day. If you're a writer, even if you're not, write it down. So write it down and continue tweaking it into the things that you notice you find yourself with more joy or works in Miami City. Like, let's say there's a specific business that really won't work too well here in Miami, which is probably hard to find. You can see what you can add to make it to give it a little bit more of a Miami vibe, or find out a different area of Florida's big state to launch it. 'Cause I feel like people get so caught up in Miami that they forget how beautiful other like the other landscapes are here, where you could just let yourself be in those quieter areas and then bring yourself to Miami to visit and vacation. Keep yourself like, especially if you know what type of person you are and you know that you can easily get caught up into a heavy lifestyle, I'd probably say live in Hollywood, live in Fort Lauderdale, live just 15 minutes away because it'll give you a good um, distance from temptation, I can say.
Absolutely. Are you familiar with what a vision board is?
Yes.
Do you do that? Do you make vision boards?
I've done one before. I need to remake one. It's been too long for sure. But I definitely would say that could be something that could be beneficial for you. Like,
What
do
is
you
one of the
have
best?
one?
Do I have one?
Yeah,
I kinda got let's see if I can show it. I kinda got not really a vision board, but it's my screensaver. It says you probably can't read it. It says "Do the thing." So every time I turn it on, it's always like, "Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing." So I always have it in my mind, like, there's something to do, there's something that I'm avoiding, there's something that's gonna help me get closer to a goal. I should probably do it. So as long as it like you said earlier, as long as it's kind of always in your face. Do you know who Brandon Carter is? King Keto?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, so he's another fitness guy, and he talks about he's like one of the pioneers, but he's another fitness person, and he's talking about how he has like money things everywhere. Like he has like money frames, he has money step mats. I forgot what you call them, like floor mats, things like that, just to constantly keep that rotating in his mind. Like make money, do money, get money somehow, do it somehow. So I think that's super aligned with what you're talking about. With just like keep your vision clear and keep it in front of you. Yeah.
For sure. That is something I started doing instead of having a complete vision board, like set up and post it up on my wall, which I feel like could be very powerful because it's just like much more grander. I usually just keep a photo on my home screen as well. I visited my niece, so she changed it. So she was very quick with it. However, I'll do a little photo shuffle so you could just keep what you also value up in your vision board, so that you don't lose touch with where you came from. Also, I feel like that could be very powerful.
You usually walk people, your clients specifically, through limiting beliefs. So mindset shifts. How do you help them out with mindset shifts?
That is a good one. There is one client that has been recently kind of feeling the pull of their old identity. And so one thing I'm kind of nailing into his head is, listen, you're not tired of the workouts, you're not tired of the rep the repetition. Your your old identity is getting tired of you ignoring it. Like he used to have a lot of
Yeah,
he used
I
to
like
have a
that.
lot of addictions to like foods, to chilling out basically. And this is something way different. This is like kind of almost annoying, as he likes to call it. So I like to just remind him that, listen, if you want to be how you kind of were before, let's see how we can work that out after you get to where you keep telling me you've been dreaming you wanted to be at. Because I feel like once you pass that threshold of not being in that old identity, you start to let go of that and realize, damn, I don't want that anymore. It's kind of happened to me also, actually, where I thought I wanted something more than I wanted my vision. So I let myself like continue to say no to those things that were in my past. And now I'm like, I don't even want it. Like, I don't like to eat sweets. I don't like to eat Kit Kats and Snickers anymore, even though they were very good. But now it's just like, I don't even want it just because
Yeah.
I know and it doesn't, and I remember how it would make me feel. So,
How do you deal with burnout?
I'm sorry,
How do you deal with burnout?
burnout, burnout. Hmm. What does burnout mean?
So burnout is whenever you're starting something and you're doing it for maybe a short period of time, maybe a long period of time. So say for instance, it's fitness. You're doing fitness for a while, you're trying to lose weight, and you're just tired of eating the correct way, or you're just tired of exercising, even though you know it's good for you, but you just get tired of it. So burnout is basically just another expression of getting tired of something. So how do you stay consistent with something that's good for you, even though you kind of don't feel like doing it anymore?
I guess I can go back to one realizing that burnout is kind of just maybe information as to where you can, how you can make your progress a little bit easier or more enjoyable for you. Like, let's say you find yourself eating the same things every day and you're really getting tired of that. You're not getting tired of where you want to go. Maybe you just need to shift how you're doing the thing. So let's say if it's eating foods the correct way, you can make sure that you're cooking more delicious meals and prepping that up, finding a way to make your meal prepping moment a little bit faster or a little bit more enjoyable, perhaps putting some music on, dancing while you're cooking, putting a podcast on, learning while you're cooking, and finding out the different, like, there's so many alternatives out there that you can be eating delicious crispy chicken burritos and not even feel like you're dieting. So I would say, one, if you are feeling very tired, remember why you're doing the thing you're doing so that you don't feel like the burnout is a reason to stop. Instead, know, you think about it in a way of, how can I make this progress a little bit more enjoyable? Because we're humans, we do like to feel pleasure. We don't need to punish ourselves with old, outdated ways of getting to our goals when there are a million other opportunities or imaginative ways that we can make things more better, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely. Your why is extremely important. I try and tell every client, I try and tell everybody, every message that I ever put out on my Instagram or even on here, it always seems to go back to what is your why and is it actually that reason? Like, is it actually that why? Because if you're aligned with
Mm,
that why, you're probably more than likely not to fall off of the goal because it is the most important thing for you. So if it's the most important thing, you're gonna optimize around it. You might face a little burnout. I know I face burnout whenever I'm cutting. Like I'm cutting right now. Sometimes I just want to eat some other shit, but I don't because I know what my why is. I know why I'm doing it. So if you go into something like tunnel vision because it's a trend and then you fall off, well,
mm,
you fell off because you didn't really care for it. It's not your thing. But if it was your thing and it's your why and there's a good reason behind it, boom, there you go. So kind of like changing your scope of the goal. So it's like, why am I doing this? Is it important? Okay, how can I optimize and make it the most enjoyable for me? Yeah,
that's good, step by step.
especially with social media, people get caught up in like everything that people are pushing onto them. So like they have to follow a keto diet, they have to follow a carnivore diet, they have to follow some diet that just works for somebody else but doesn't work for you. Do what works for you. If you get the same end result, then what does it matter? Like, is it really that big of a difference because you ate some chips every now and then, but you still have the abs you've been wanting this whole time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
How long have you been with your fitness endeavors of trying to get into the better or best shape?
Honestly, since I can remember, since I was young, to like I guess I could say I was very self-aware of my body. So I would always try to do home workouts. I didn't find out about lifting weights till I was getting into MMA because before that it was sport. It was soccer, it was basketball, it was um, home workouts like hit workouts on YouTube or just biking and running and hiking. So I didn't find out about weights until a long time into my growth, as you can say. So I would say since I was, yeah, since a child, I've always been like, okay, how can I make sure that I'm like toning up my body? Like one thing I always wanted was bigger glutes, like most women. Well, honestly, no, I wanted to be skinny at first. Yeah, I wanted to be very skinny
Skinny,
at first.
skinny. How? Can you give me like a body fat percentage?
Oof, I mean, at that point, honestly, it was what I was thinking about. Now that I know, it would probably be like an 8% body fat. But this
As
is
a
me as a
woman,
child. Yeah. Yeah, this is me as a child thinking that I just wanted to be as skinny as possible. I don't know why. So I would give it a 10% actually. I didn't want to be that skinny.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, yeah,
Now that I
that's
know
that's
better,
good.
I'm sticking in the 16% to even 23% ranges.
What? Okay, so what would you say to the women that are scared to lift weights because they don't want to get bulky? There's nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with
I'd
it.
say, girl, okay, honestly, to be really, really serious about it, I'd say you can lift weights and not get bulky if you're training in a program that supports your goals. Like you can just make sure you're still gaining strength. I mean, you probably won't grow any stronger than what you're pushing yourself through because you're going to gain muscle if you're progressing or you're going up in weights, you're gonna gain a little bit more. But at the same time, there's a thing called maintenance where you can just work out to maintain where you are. But honestly, I'm a big believer in having more strength because you never know when you're gonna need it. Especially even if you're living in a day average small town, you never know when you're gonna need some strength. So I feel like that's a part of us as humans that we should naturally have.
Who does it take a peek into your fitness routine? What does that look like? What is your how many times are you training a week? Do you do cardio? And what are like your reps and sets range?
So listen, I when I got into weightlifting, I started with the basics, the 5x5, and I kind of keep that type of routine with me. But I mostly just keep it in the way that it was structured. So usually I train 5 days, but that's because I'm currently uh, in the process of debating whether I want to compete in a wellness physique competition.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
it's hmm it's something I'm telling myself I'm just training for it. I'm not going to compete. That I know once we get to that level, I'm gonna be good. So yeah,
Oh, that's gonna be some extreme dieting.
yeah. So I hear, but I hear it's also very, very rewarding when you get yourself through it and you notice like how where you can take yourself. And I feel like that's the reason I want to do it. I want to see just how far I can push myself. I've had to push myself pretty hard in MMA, but this would be a different type of push.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a energy depletion. What's the lowest in calories that you ever oh, first thing first, probably should ask, do you track normally?
I used to track more. Now it's a little bit more eyeball of a tracking, simply because of how I train and how I've been moving recently. Because I still haven't set the date, so I've been moving back and forth from Puerto Rico and Miami, and so That makes it a little bit difficult, but honestly, it's an excuse. You can still be tracking. I just haven't seen the need for it since I kind of know how I typically eat and around the calories amount that I need to stay on. So I'm not gonna go over like 2,500 calories in a day unless
Whenever you're going out, what did you say?
unless I'm bulking, of course.
That you're bulking? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the show, good luck to you on the show. That's gonna be interesting. Definitely keep me updated because I was interested in it as well because I have a buddy that like tells me like I should try and compete. I'm like, that's really lean. That's like 4, 5-ish body fat percentage. And then you hear people like Chris Bumstead explain getting down to such a lean level where like he doesn't even have the energy to pick something up off the ground. It's like, do I want to
Mm,
experience that? Do I want to have energy where I can't move? And you say you work as well, right?
yes,
Massage therapy.
yeah. It's not something I'm doing too much here now because I have it set up in Puerto Rico, so that's like taking care of itself.
Okay. So how many hours you work in a week?
That's a good question. Since I'm running mostly online, it's just like a varied day-to-day hour. But on average, like for sure, it's at least 4 hours a day.
Okay. Okay. Got you. And are your usual workout sessions like hours long?
They used to be. They used to be about 3 hours long. I used to have a lot of fun trying different things out, seeing how it feels, seeing how my body would react. But now I'm training more efficiently, more intentionally. And so typically they range from, I don't even want to say 45 minutes. I try to make it 45 minutes, but on average, it's like an hour to 90 minutes.
Which way of training did you find gives you most results?
The training where you're going to failure, training where you're, let's say, working out with your heart rate being up as well. So you're still training with strength. However, you're not training to the point where you need to rest for 5 minutes, like when you're doing a 5 by 5, where you're really progressively overloading just to build up more strength. Right now, I'm training more geared towards aesthetics while still maintaining strength. So I still do increase the weight. However, I rest for shorter periods of time. Before I'd have 2 to 3 minute rest. Now it's more like 30 seconds to a minute, and then you're back on pushing yourself to the max.
Are you
I'd say
still
MMA style.
incorporating you're still incorporating cardio? I'm assuming that's with the MMA stuff?
No. Well, yes. Now, yes. Now that I've re started training, I would say that's my form of cardio. However, something I have been implementing is the Stairmaster. So that's how I got my, yeah.
Stairmaster is a fuck the sta excuse my language. Screw the
Listen though, listen.
Stairmaster.
I found a secret.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
found
tell
the
me.
secret. Play reggaeton.
What is that?
Reggaeton is music that makes you want to move, makes you want to dance, makes you pretend that you're in a
Oh,
club in Puerto Rico.
that's
Hmm.
smart. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. I usually listen to, like, some, how do I not expose myself? Some really edgy music that puts me in, like, this state of kinda do you watch do it's kinda nerdy. Do you watch anime?
I've watched some anime,
Okay, kinda like an
but
anime state where, like, I'm some main character pushing through something.
I
Maybe I just
see.
need maybe I just need therapy, though. Maybe I just need therapy. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that, but, like, I just put myself in, like, this, like, a life or death situation whenever I'm doing especially Stairmaster, like, I'm life or death, like, I need to do this. If I don't do this, I'm done for. You know what I mean?
Like I will let my ancestors down if I don't continue this. Yeah, I totally get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's the Stairmaster is amazing. What would you put as your top 3 for cardio?
I would say MMA training, whether that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, or even Muay Thai. and a stairmaster just because I feel like it's more fulfilling than just running on a treadmill. Or dancing. Dancing or going outside. I love dancing. And I feel like that's a great I mean, I don't think that you really push yourself too hard during dancing, but let's say you're doing a Zumba class, maybe you can. Maybe you can. So that's probably why
Okay.
that'd be like the last.
What would you recommend for someone that is a beginner and they want to get into the fitness realm? How should they start off?
I'd probably say to join your nearest gym and use their group classes. I'd say use the group classes, or if you don't feel like if you're super, super beginner, work out at home. Put on like a 45-minute routine, which I know a good bit, and just like take yourself through it and like hold yourself accountable. Be real, because just because you don't have a coach in front of you, like watching you, you're gonna be watching yourself, and you need to have that ability to not disappoint yourself. If that makes sense.
What holds you the most accountable? Like, what do you do that holds you the most accountable? I'll butt in a little bit on my own opinion. For me, what holds me accountable the most is letting other people know what I'm doing. Because I'm
Uh-huh.
very egotistical, so I like to say whatever I do, and if I don't do it, then I look bad. So I put myself in this tactical stress situation where I say, I'm going to do XYZ to the public, and if I don't do it, then I'm a failure. And I don't want to be a failure because it's gonna hurt my ego. So what do you do that helps you stay accountable?
I think about how much time I want to waste between being on my next level or staying the same. So, do I want to hold myself accountable enough so that I can reach my next level like now and experience that instead of just doing the same thing even though I'm not having fun there, you know? So I would say probably that I keep thinking about where I'd rather be and say this is why I need to do it, you know?
So, would you recommend more of self accountability or external accountability?
I guess it would depend because honestly, I've worked with both for myself below. So let's say like when I'm in the fitness aspect of things, I definitely
Might have lost her.
I'm slacking, you know? I'm not pushing myself to the max. So with fitness, I would say public accountability, tell people your goals so that you can like have that as a because it can serve as inspiration. Now let's say you're uh, doing something for your business or a creative pursuit. I'd say notice how much
Oh, I was hoping it wouldn't time out. I was definitely hoping it wouldn't. Yo, hey, if she's cooking, man, drop a fucking W, man. She's definitely cooking. See if I can get her right back on. She's definitely cooking. And for the women that are watching that assume lifting weights is gonna make you bulky. That's 100% not the case. And because a very big factor in building muscle is testosterone, and women lack a lot of testosterone compared to men. And even men, whenever they start lifting, they don't get very bulky. They don't look like Captain America because it takes consistency and it takes progressive overload and it takes a lot of discipline. Very hard to get to the bulky state. I wouldn't even say I'm bulky, which is my own opinion. Other people might see it differently, but I wouldn't even say I'm bulky. It very much matters on a long period of time to look bulky, especially for women. The only thing it's going to do is just help with everything. Everything. You're just going to feel a lot better. You're going to be a lot more confident. You're going to fit in clothes better. Whenever you go get a dress tailored or whatever, fit to your body, you're going to be more impressed with the person that you see in the mirror. So don't be scared of weights and don't be scared of protein. Get your protein in. I'm just gonna improvise till she gets back. Let's do this. I'm gonna improvise till she get back. Get your protein in at all costs. As women, I know you don't want to eat meat. You don't want to eat chicken. You don't do all this. You want to do your girl dinners. You can still have your girl dinners. You can still have your flaming hot Cheeto stuffed inside of the pickle. It's fine. It's fine. It's not going to hurt you. But still try and get in the chicken, ground beef, steak, eggs, beans, things of that nature. I also found out too how important fiber is. So now I'm going to be vulnerable. Oh, there she goes. She's come back. Never mind. Y'all don't get to hear me be vulnerable. I'm not being vulnerable. I'm not doing it.
Well, damn, I came. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. I ruined it for y'all.
Lost you for a second. Yeah, I was improvising while you was gone. But yeah, we was talking about accountability and holding yourself accountable, and self accountability and external accountability. And you was going into that, and you was cut off a lot.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I did mention how for fitness, I do prefer public accountability. 'Cause I feel like when I hired my first coach, that's when I realized how much more I can push myself. So I feel like if you have a lot more people knowing about your fitness routine and you're able to find out different things you can try or different ways that you can actually push yourself, I think that could be a game changer for the levels that you can reach. Now, let's say you're wanting to do a creative pursuit or you want to achieve something like spiritually for yourself or even like in business, I feel like knowing that where you are right now is not where you want to be. So I feel like definitely having that self accountability of how much time, like really, like why are you going to continue to let yourself be in a place of submission to your external surroundings, or are you going to take control of yourself and the dominion over your body, mind, and soul to go towards what you want? You know,
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I definitely love the thing is when you tapped on coaching, because coaching is huge. Whenever you have someone that you have to report to every week or whatever, even monthly or whatever, just someone else is holding you accountable that you don't want to let down. I want your opinion on this. So this is what I tell my people that view me a lot. I say, have someone that you love, admire, and respect a lot, and tell them what you want to do, because they're going to hold you accountable just by them knowing. Because if they know what your goal is and you told them what you're going to do and you love, admire, respect them, you're not going to want to let them down. So you're more than likely to get it done. What do you think about that?
I think that could be very powerful. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of how I operate. One, I've said so many things so many times, so I'm like, okay, I don't want to just not keep my word. Like keeping your word is for me very important and is one of my value systems. So I would say, yeah, that can be different because if you know somebody is also rooting for you, like if they do ever ask you like, hey, how is that goal going, you're like they actually do think about me, they believe in me, they care about it, so it's like another push towards continuing it. So I would say that's
Absolutely.
powerful. Yeah.
Stephanie, I want to say you've been crushing it throughout this whole conversation. Definitely dropped a whole lot of value. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. And we're coming up on the closing question. So
Okay.
the closing question is going to be, if you were to give the viewers a roadmap to dominate upcoming events in their lives, what would that look like? Step by step.
A roadmap to dominate the upcoming events in their lives. I would say be clear, sit down, write yourself a note as to where you would like to be, like what you would like those upcoming events to be, and then figure out ways to get there. Okay, so whether that's doing the same thing you're doing but adding something else, or completely letting go of where you are and allowing yourself to try out something completely new. So figure out what those events are for you, where you would want to be so that you're not just getting led to events, that going with like it's like taking a stranger's hand. You don't want to take a stranger's hand to an event. Unless of course that event is going to be where you want to go. So I would say definitely be clear on your events. Even if you're not clear right now, notice those things around your day-to-day life. So let's say tomorrow. Take this as an example. Tomorrow, notice you, notice yourself. Be aware of your day. See what you do in the morning, see what you do in the evening and the night. See where you don't feel as happy, as content, as pleasurable, as more joyful, and see what you would and notice the imaginations or the thoughts that come up. So let's say in your morning you're like, damn, I really would love to see more ocean. I really would like to see more trees, and start to actually take those thoughts seriously because that's where your soul wants to express yourself. Or let's say you're in your job and you notice that you really rather be doing something else. Take note of that because you can start working towards that. That's how your soul wants to express itself. Or let's say you're at night and you notice your bed is uncomfortable. Your surrounding doesn't let you sleep at night. Take note of that and start to maybe figure out a way where you can be in a place where you're sleeping more peacefully, you know? So basically take note of those little thoughts that pop up in your head because they're not just coming up for no reason. Some are, so make sure you're using your discernment and figure out which are coming from you, which would you prefer, and versus which are coming from just trends, something like we've talked about. So I definitely say take a pen and paper. If you don't have one, go to the Family Dollar store, buy yourself a composition notebook and a pen, and take that around with you, even if it's a mini one, and start taking note of those things that you would prefer and listen.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Once again, Stephanie, thank you for coming out. Would you like to drop your socials so people know where to find you?
Surely, it's pretty simple. It's Steph.reborn. So STEPH. Steph, not with an F. And
Hey
reborn.
man, hey man, y'all
Hmm.
go give her a follow. Stephanie, thank you for coming on, and we'll be in contact
Awesome, Miguelly. Thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure.
later.
Bye bye.